What if I told you that the most common way people pray is actually working against them? Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea that completely turns prayer on its head. It's an approach that shifts the focus from, asking for what you want to actually being the person who already has it. I mean, come on, we've all wondered this, right? Why does it look so easy for some people to attract success or love or whatever it is, while the rest of us, no matter how hard we try, just seem to stay stuck? Well, the answer, as we're about to see, might just be in a huge misunderstanding of what prayer even is.
Okay, so to get to the solution, we first have to really understand the problem. Let's break down why the way we usually pray so often just doesn't work, and why sometimes it can actually make the thing we're trying to change even stronger.
This quote from Neville Goddard really just hits the nail on the head. The core idea here is that life doesn't give you what you ask for, it gives you what you are conscious of being. So if your deep down inner feeling is one of being poor, then begging for riches only shines a giant spotlight on that feeling of lack.
So here's where we usually get tripped up. We tend to pray to some kind of external God, like a separate being that we have to plead with. And what this does is it creates this dynamic where we are here, lacking something, and the thing we want is way over there, totally separate from us. We end up just focusing on the problem, not the solution, and we treat our current situation like it's the only truth that exists.
So, okay, if that's the problem, what's the secret? Well, it's a complete paradigm shift. It means we have to redefine two massive concepts: who or what we're actually praying to, and what it really means to go into prayer in the first place. In this way of thinking, the Father isn't some person up in the sky. It's way, way closer than that. It is your own consciousness, your own awareness of being. It's that core feeling of identity that just says, I am. That is the creative power that we're actually working with. And it's the same thing when you hear these old texts say to shut the door. It's not a physical thing, it's psychological. The door is your attention. Shutting the door simply means turning your focus away from the outside world with all its problems and limitations, and going inward to focus on the reality you want. You see, this understanding totally transforms prayer. It's no longer about asking an outside force for favor. Nope, it's about making an inside decision. It's a huge shift from begging to claiming. Just look at the difference here. Begging comes from a feeling of neediness, of lack, and it always keeps your desire in the future, something you're hoping for someday. But claiming? That's done from a feeling of fulfillment. It's all about accepting your desire as an inner reality right now. You literally shift from saying, I want to be, to I am. Now, this is really important. This isn't about shouting at the universe or trying to force anything. Claiming is a quiet, subtle, internal shift. It's the decision to stop seeing yourself as the person who lacks something and to start identifying as the person who already has it. It's about changing who you believe you are deep down. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we put this powerful idea of claiming into practice? Well, the whole technique is often called living from the end, and it all starts with that psychological act of shutting the door. It really unfolds in 4 steps. First, you pull your focus away from your problems, the bills, the issues, all of it. Second, you consciously stop telling yourself that old limiting story. Third, and this is the big one, you emotionally feel what it would be like to already be the person you want to be. You assume that feeling right now. And finally, you carry that inner feeling, that new self-image, with you. Now, let's be super clear about something. This isn't about being delusional or ignoring reality. You still see the world for what it is. The difference is, you refuse to let those external facts dictate who you are on the inside. You basically decide that your inner, chosen reality is more real and more powerful than the outer, temporary one. So the whole goal of this inner work is to get to a state of conviction. It's a deep, quiet knowing. It's that feeling of, yep, it's done. It's the feeling that the matter is settled, that your new identity is now your true identity. This inner conviction is the trigger that gets everything on the outside moving. All right, let's talk about the last piece of the puzzle. And honestly, for a lot of us, this is the toughest part. Once you've established that new inner state, you have to do one more thing. You have to let go. It really boils down to this. Your work is purely internal. Your responsibility ends the moment you successfully change your self-perception and get to that feeling of conviction. That's it. That's your only job in this whole process.
And this is why trying to micromanage how it's all going to happen is just completely counterproductive. I mean, your conscious mind is limited. It can't possibly see all the infinite ways things can unfold. Worrying about the how just creates stress and doubt, and that pulls you right back into the old state of lack. It literally blocks the very path you're trying to open.
And this is the incredible promise behind this whole idea. The inner world of your imagination and your feeling, that's the cause. The outer world, that's just the effect. So once you truly change the cause by assuming your new identity, the effect has to follow. Life will literally rearrange itself to match your new state of consciousness, often in ways you can never have even imagined.
So this all brings us to one final, really powerful question for you. If you stopped identifying with your current problems and instead fully, truly assumed the feeling of being the person you wish to be, who would you become? What would change? Starting this very moment.